Good afternoon, or good morning, or good night. There is swearing, spoilers, and opinions coming up, and all of them are terrific, probably.
250 reasons to stay indoors.
Hello, and welcome to 250 Reasons to Stay Indoors. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Keiran.
And this is the podcast where we watch the IMDb top 250 films, and we let you know whether they were worth watching or whether we regretted that. What are we watching this week, Keiran?
This week we are watching a film that is not on the IMDb top 250 list.
What?
The reason being is because last week we watched Back to the Future 1. And this week we are watching Back to
Back to Diction.
Thank you. Back to Diction.
Back to school.
Part 2. And
It's the only logical thing to do.
of course, it just makes sense because we like completion.
Yeah.
Well, closure. There we go.
Closure.
Yes. We like to finish things all the way to completion, which means that we are watching Back to the Future Part 2, and it came out in the year 1989. So, Jordan, have you seen Back to the Future Part 2?
No, I haven't.
Have you really not? This surprises me because you've seen the first one, and I would have thought that you would have seen it by now.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm wrong. I have seen it.
Come on, make your mind up.
I
Jesus.
forgot.
Well, I haven't seen Back to the Future Part 2, as I hadn't seen Back to the Future Part 1 before doing this show.
Okay, what do you think it's going to be about?
Well, we already get a glimpse in this at the end of the first one, how the doctor's like... By the way, we always say the doctor. It's just Doc. Doc is like, oh... Your kids they're fucked. That's why we need to go to the future. Oh, both of you, Marty and your girlfriend, let's go in the car. Vroom, vroom. And then they're going to the future. And where we're going, we don't need roads because they fly. And that's the deal.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be something to do with they're in the future, they're fucking around and their kids are being dicks and they've got to sort them out.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't really fault that. That sounds right.
Should we just go
I think
watch?
we should probably just
Let's
watch
just
it.
go watch it. Let's just go watch it. Okay. Right.
And we're back with a couple of fast thoughts, but first we're back with a guest. This is Deanna, the love of my life, the light of my life, my girlfriend.
Hi.
Hi.
You know what's coming. I was hoping that you'd be like, this is my housemate, Deanna. That's kind of rude.
No,
We live
the rest of
together,
the
but
episode
we're
would have
not.
been very awkward.
I would have left.
Okay. All right. How's it going, Jenna? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm living my best life.
So enthusiastic about it as well. Brilliant. So do you know what's going on when we do these fast thoughts?
Yes.
So we're just coming up with like the first things that come to our head when we think about the film. I will start. Time machine.
Flying cars.
DeLorean.
Doc.
Emmett.
Guns.
Oh, I was looking for the brown.
Doc Emmett Brown. That would have made more
Sorry.
sense. Okay. All right. Pepsi.
Biff.
Oh, sorry. You said?
Biff.
Griff. What's the other if?
Jif. That's not how you pronounce it. It's
I don't
GIF.
know.
Anyway.
Oh, I was thinking about Jif, like the
Surface cleaner.
surface cleaning.
Oh,
Turn into Sif nowadays.
Yeah,
Ooh, it's
whoa,
crazy.
whoa.
Pepsi.
Cola.
Hoverboard.
Billionaires.
Clock tower.
Leather print. Everything.
Sports almanac.
Boobs.
That's it. I'm
bad
done.
at this.
Jesus Christ. Okay, scraping the barrel.
Right, we'll leave it at
We'll call it. We'll leave it at boobs. Very nice. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to do, I'll give it my damnedest, even though this plot is ridiculous. I'm going to sum up the film in 15 seconds. I can go up to 15.8, well, 15.79 recurring, or I can go as low as 15. That's pretty much it.
And the reason for that is we just implemented a new way of rounding numbers.
Jordan Maths, you basically got to listen to previous episodes to do it. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to explain it now. Just do your homework, okay? All right, let's go.
Now, keep stalling for time because my
Okay.
watch is still in power saving mode.
Oh my God. It's the most ineffective watch ever. How is it not working?
Because it was running out of battery. So it goes into power saving mode. And apparently, I didn't know that the stopwatch isn't available in power saving mode.
Right.
It's ready
But you
now.
could check the time.
Yeah.
Because that's the most essential part about
I mean, I could have
watches.
probably done what we needed to do, but I wanted to use the stopwatch because it's more fun.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, okay, let's go do it.
Okay, and 3, 2, 1, go.
They go back into the past because no, they're going into the shit. They go into the future because their kids are fucked. They sort out the kids, but there's Biff who found the sports almanac and he gave it to his previous self so that he could become a billionaire. So they went back into the past and sorted that all out. Came back into the present, and now I think everything's fine.
Whoa, mate, 17.5.
Ooh.
You kind of like fucked that right at the start and then had to
Yeah.
trail it back. But I think if you didn't fuck it, maybe that would have been okay. But then also you didn't really say much.
It's true. I didn't really say a great deal, although if I'd have gone into any more detail, I feel like we'd be here for another 20 years. Well, it definitely would have been more than 20 seconds.
That's true. And it's not even supposed to be 20 seconds.
No, it's supposed to be 15. Yeah.
So
Tough times. Shall we do it?
Yep.
yeah, I can't remember how the film starts. And you always get sad and angry at me when I get
I remember
wrong.
how it started.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
Do I just tell you
Yeah,
exactly what happened?
go.
Oh, okay. So Marty and his girlfriend Jennifer
Yeah.
were like outside doing a little hug and kiss, and then Doc comes back with his giant DeLorean and then like blows a
That
little
sounds
wind
a bit rude,
everywhere.
The doctor enters with
With
giant
giant
DeLorean.
Giant DeLorean.
He just
Hey,
like
17-year-old Marty.
he just lands his DeLorean in their like driveway. What the hell? This is what it's called.
Doc lands his giant D in.
Oh.
Anyway, that's what happened. And then he runs over. He's like, "What the hell, dog? Where have you been?" And he was like, "I was in the future." And then he opens like this little engine thing, and he has to put trash in it to power it. And he's like,
Oh,
"We
yeah.
have to go to 1980. No, that's where they are.
2015.
2015 to save your children from themselves." And then they all get in the car.
So they go into the future, and Jennifer's like, "What the fuck's going on?" And Doc like zaps her to make her unconscious, so that after all of this, it will all be a dream for her. So because she's been shocked by all this shit.
I feel like they should have just not taken her.
Well, the reason that Doc gave was like she's just seen a time machine. She kind of needs to be explained some of this, but then they knock her out anyway. So I can't see why they couldn't have just left her on Earth and zapped her on Earth. Anyway, so so he zaps her, and like they carry her and leave her on a trash can because obviously making women unconscious is good in 1989. Then Doc's like, "All right, follow these instructions. Go to this milkshake bar. You remember that one from back in the day." And now it's an 80s themed bar, and you got to pretend to be your son and say that you're not going to the dance tonight, and that's that. So he's pretending to be his son, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
His son actually arrives. His son goes behind the counter of the milkshake bar, and the real Marty like goes and has a fight with Biff. It causes a big ruckus in the square. There's the same kind of like, "Sorry, little girl, let me steal your scooter," turning it into a hoverboard, skateboard.
Yeah,
thing.
it's basically the same
as the
scene from the
first
first film, but everything is happening in the future.
Exactly. And now the story, like the thing that Doc wanted to save his kids from, has been sorted because now Griff,
Yeah,
who
because
is Biff's
basically,
son,
yeah.
Is in jail.
is in jail. So that's
Yeah.
all been sorted out. But we can't just go home and everything be fine because Jennifer is being taken by the police because obviously the police found an unconscious woman in an alleyway and decided to take her home.
Meanwhile, Marty's picked up this sports almanac, and he said to Doc that he plans on going back to the past and then knowing what all the sports fixtures and all of the results were to make some money. And Doc's like, "No, you can't do that because that's bad." And
Yeah, it's basically the only reason he gives. He's
and
like, no.
it turns out that Biff,
old
old
Biff.
Biff is listening in on this conversation, figures out that like they're time travelers, whatever, and then steals the book.
He steals the book when Marty and Doc have gone to Jennifer's house. Jennifer from 1989, or 1985 rather, is now in the future. But when the police women check this woman's thumbprint, Jennifer in the alleyway's thumbprint, they're like, "Oh, it's Jennifer," because your thumbprint stays the same throughout your whole life, right? So they take her because everyone knows each other by thumbprint, apparently. So she takes them to her home, and obviously, in the future, she's aged. And when she sees her real self, so when 1985 Jennifer sees 2015 Jennifer. She's like, fuck, I'm old. And she passes out. So Doc and Marty grab her, take her back to the car, chuck her in the car, and they go back to 1985. This is correct?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're now done in the future.
But
During that time is when old Biff stole the DeLorean and gave his younger self the sports almanac. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. What's
Can I
happening?
explain the next bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're back in the past. 1985.
Back to the past.
But we're in the darkest timeline because
Yeah.
right now Biff is running this shit, and they
Mm-hmm.
get back and they don't notice until Marty gets back to his house and realizes it's like completely decrepit and graffitied, and he finds his old principal outside his house with a shotgun, and he's like, "Hey,
Truly dark timeline shit.
get away from my house! I'm going to shoot you in the face." And he's like, "Please don't do that."
I mean, that sounds like America.
He's like, "Please don't do that. I just want to know what's going on." And then the drive-by happens, and it gets worse. And then he runs away. He goes to the town and sees all these biker gangs and like goth, heavy angst. And then there's this giant Biff tower, because obviously Biff is the richest man on the planet now
Yeah.
after the almanac.
The bouncers are like, "What are you doing around here?"
Oh, yeah.
And then they just beat him up, and then he wakes
Also,
up in
one
bed.
of them is a cowboy for some unknown reason.
This is America.
Okay.
In the darkest timeline, this feels like Game of Thrones.
There is no like different timelines in Game of Thrones.
You know,
Your popular culture references are so shocking, Kieran. It is terrible.
I
The
don't
whole
know.
of Game of Thrones is a dark timeline.
Well, actually, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I still have like 4 seasons to catch up on. Anyway, so Marty's mum had 3 kids with Marty's dad,
Yeah.
Yep.
but Biff was like, I want to be, is it Lorraine?
Yeah,
Lo-
Lorraine.
Yeah,
I want to be.
Lorraine's.
I don't want to be Lorraine's husband, or I want her to be my wife. So I'm going to kill
Yeah,
Marty's dad.
I feel like it was much more, I want her to be my wife.
Yeah.
as opposed to I want to be her
He's
husband.
not a
yeah.
good husband.
No.
No, he's a dickhead.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely. So we later find out that he killed Marty's dad so that he could have Lorraine and his wife as his wife. So when Marty gets taken up to the top floor, he finds his mum with a boob job, and
Very
he's-
bad boob job.
very bad boob job. I don't know why I'm thinking of like, how good of a boob job would it be? Like, I don't know boob jobs. I don't know shit all about boob
They
jobs.
were just
boob
really
jobs.
far apart. I'm like, why are they not in this? You know,
I don't really
Centralised boobs.
understand.
Centralised boobs,
I
they
mean,
weren't
obviously the
central.
actor didn't actually get a boob job.
no, it was
so-
obviously a breastplate or something,
Yeah.
but it was quite terrible.
So now Lorraine's got big titties, and Marty's like, "What the fuck happened to Dad? Your dad's dead." Marty's like, "What the shit?" So Biff is currently his like stepdad or whatever. Goes back to Doc.
Oh my god! I've just noticed. How did we miss Bad Dads?
Eh?
Well,
On the-
because
on the
bad stepdads. Shit, we always do bad dads.
Yeah, it's kind of a running thing in every
okay.
film. There's always a bad dad for some reason. So when we do fast forwards, Bad Dads always comes up.
Right.
I'm amazed we missed that this time.
You know, one day we'll get a guest on who gets all the references to this show. One day we will. Anyway,
I think that would mean there need to be a person that regularly listens to the show.
Aw.
okay, so all 5 of you get in touch if you want to listen to the show. No, to be fair though, we clock it when people have downloaded every single episode of the
Yeah.
show. Go back to the first episode. So
Thank
we
you.
appreciate
You're
that.
amazing.
We love you all. So thank you very much. Anyway, Marty goes to the doc, and he's like, "My mum's got
Just
big
sitting
titties.
on the
What
dock."
the fuck's what the fuck's happening now?" Doc very, very kindly demonstrates with a brilliant diagram the darkest timeline versus the original timeline. We have to go back to the point where the darkest timeline began to sort that out so that we can return to the original timeline. Marty has to go back to Biff to find out how Biff got the almanac. Biff doesn't tell Marty to fuck off as I thought he would, but instead explains to him, "I got it from this old timer, and he told me to not ever tell anyone about the book, but here I am telling you about it." Weird. So now Marty goes to Doc. He's like, "Yeah, he got it from his older self back in 1955. So we got to go back to 1955. We go back to 1955. Marty goes into young Biff's car, and he finds basically ends up going to like the school dance. We revisit scenes from the first movie, and now we see Marty, as was in the first film, at the same time as Marty in this film, who is inconspicuously dressed as Inspector Gadget with a leather jacket, right? And he's trying to find a way to get Biff's sports almanac so he can destroy it, so that Biff doesn't change the future by betting on all of the sporting events that happened in later life. So they basically succeed. And
after much suspense of him trying to grab the almanac and not achieving it, and that was the same thing for about 40 minutes. I'm sure.
That's about right.
It was very frustrating.
Yeah, it was quite frustrating. And Biff is about to run Marty over in a tunnel, but he gets away in the nick of time
with a hoverboard.
With a hoverboard. No, there was a rope
Hoverboard
attached to the
saves the day.
DeLorean, right? It was flying.
Yeah, but he hoverboards away, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he does.
Hoverboards
You're right.
away and then flies onto. He grabs onto the DeLorean with a string with the rope coming off the DeLorean.
No, what is it?
It's like bunting. It's
bunting. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Good old
we all
bunting.
know the bunting would snap, but
Yeah,
anyway.
save the day.
But it's really stormy out because it's the same night as the day. It's the same night as the day. It's the same night as the one where there's the storm that triggers the lightning bolt that in the first film. Just fucking watch it, that night. Yeah, it's on that night. So Doc can't land because, we've got a spaceship fucking like flying machine. What's the word? Time machine. But I can't land it in turbulent conditions.
No.
So Marty's like, oh, make sure you don't get shot by lightning. At the same time, he gets shot by lightning and, just fucks off, zip zap, he's gone. Suddenly a guy from Western Union comes along, drives up in a car. And he's like, we've had this letter for the past 70 years. We've been ordered to give it to you at this precise date and time. It's a letter from Doc from the year
1885.
1885.
Yep.
And he's like, what the fuck? Oh my God. Doc went to the
He's
world.
alive! The Doc's alive!
Oh.
There we go. So now we get a snippet into the next film, which is like coming in summer 1990.
Yeah.
Back to the Future Part 3, which is basically Back to the Future Old Wild West.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of film.
Who's got a beef? Who's got a beef? Who's got a beef?
Yeah, like right at the start of the film. It happened to get not right at the start of the film. Sorry, Kieran.
Yeah, please, Jordan.
Right, like
don't
maybe
fucking
like
do this.
a minute into the start of the film.
Thank you.
It's the same. I think we see the same scene from the end of the first film where Jennifer's like, where he comes back and he sees Jennifer and he's all like, oh, yay, Jennifer. And she's like, oh, Marty, it's like you haven't seen me in a week. Like, that's such a strange turn of phrase. Like, and it's so obviously specific. It just, like, no one would say that. Like, oh, it's like you haven't seen me in ages. Like,
Yeah,
why
you would
so
say that. You
specifically
would say
a
that.
week? That's
Well,
what's pissing me off.
It's because Marty was away in the past. In a week.
I know,
Obviously.
because he was. It's just like, just don't do that.
Just don't.
So many of the lines in this film felt like just don't.
There's
Come
a
on.
lot of bad acting in
Yeah.
this film, especially from who is it? Griff?
Yeah.
Griff?
Well, it's
Who the fuck? What's wrong
Oh
with
my
him?
god, he overacts everything. He's like, Marty, I'm gonna kill you. Like every time he sees him, like, shut up. Like, you're not that intense every day. You
And
can't be.
It really sticks out because he's like the only person that just overacts that much.
Literally, he's so
He's
extra.
the only one who's like, I'm gonna get you. Like, stop.
Especially because the other guys in his gang are literally like beep bloop with the little machines on their jackets.
They're dressed up as circuit boards,
Yeah.
and then it's just Biff, who's look Griff. I don't know. I don't
Griff.
care. I don't care who he is.
That actually reminds me. It really pissed me off. Like right at that not at the start of the film, but
Oh my god, stop! What's wrong with
like
you?
near the start where they have that chase scene with he first gets the hoverboard and then
Yeah.
he goes into the middle of the lake and they're like getting out another hoverboard to get to him and he's just standing there like just get off the hoverboard.
Right, just get it for fuck's
Why
sake.
would you're just standing there not moving? It's like I hate how they do suspense in this film. It's so dumb.
It is very annoying.
So just to explain that a little bit more for anyone who hasn't seen the film, they're doing a whole chase scene on hoverboards. Marty goes with his hoverboard onto a lake or a little pond thing.
I feel like it's not
a
that
pond.
big of
It's
a lake.
pond.
It's
No,
very small.
It's in the middle of a square, so
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal. But you can't. Your hoverboard doesn't work on water unless you've got extra power for your hoverboard. So he's frozen.
Unless you've got a power board.
So he's.
Oh no, it's like unless you've got power.
Yes, it's literally like rocket jets for your hoverboard.
And they all, so he gets it out of a fucking briefcase or something, and all of his little group like link into it or some shit, like fucking Power Rangers in hoverboard form.
They all just like it's like a splitter. Like, they all connect to this big group splitter thing, and Marty's just trapped there in the middle of the lake, and it's like, dude, or in the middle of this pond, like just jump off your hoverboard. I reckon it's probably maybe 5 foot deep. That thing, like, it's not that big a deal. It's not that deep,
No,
and
it's
then
not.
just jump out and run away. Fine.
And it's definitely man-made.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so
For sure.
chill out, Marty. It's not a big a deal.
A little bit earlier, the whole zapping Jennifer to make sure she doesn't remember anything. It's
Just to clarify, that's not the start of the film, right?
What?
it's earlier. No. The very start of the film. The very start of the film is Marty and Jennifer are in Marty's garage, and Marty's.
So it was the start of the film when
No,
I
it
said it
isn't,
was the
because they're
start
in
of the film, but it wasn't.
1985 still. They haven't
Yeah.
moved
I'm
yet.
sorry. I'll stop.
God.
Well, that does feel like the start of the film for me, and well, yeah, because
In the car, he zapped her, right?
yeah, in the
Yeah,
car, in the
that's
car, in the
fairly
car,
early on.
in the car, he zaps her, and it's just like classic making women inconsequential to the film, and what. So later, a little bit later on, Doc's like, "Oh fuck! The police have found unconscious Jennifer, and they're gonna take her to see her future self. Oh shit! And it's like,
What did you-
obviously, don't make women anyone unconscious in films. Like, why? No, and it's leaving them in the public place. Why didn't you leave her in the car? Because why? Why?
She
Yeah.
really didn't need to be like
it.
either she didn't need to be there in the first place, or if you're gonna bring her,
Just leave
zapping
her.
her and leaving her in a bin is not.
I feel like-
it's not a scientifically smart thing to do.
Leaving an unconscious woman in an alleyway in 2015 would have ended very differently in any other film. So, like, it's just not a good idea.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like,
No.
Doc, hello?
Yeah, come
Hello?
on,
If we can take anything away from this film, it's don't leave unconscious women in alleyways.
Precisely.
We don't want to be there.
No.
I speak for all women on this.
all unconscious women, or
All unconscious women don't want to
I
be
don't know
left
if,
alone.
Don't know if you can say that because you're conscious now. So like,
Yeah,
that's a
I've
good
never
point.
actually
Yeah.
been unconscious outside before, so I don't have that experience, but
You've never been camping? Oh, it's just sleeping. It's just
Deanna's
sleeping
giving Jordan
outside.
such a look of like.
I just don't even know what to say.
All right. So you know when Doc's like, "Oh, we got to save your kids from doing this bullshit."
Yeah.
right? I don't understand why Doc can't just show Jennifer and Marty, "Look, this happens in your future. All right, just showing you this happens. Let's go back to the past. Just make sure that doesn't happen. Just make sure that doesn't happen. That's all. Just make sure it's all fine." And make sure, Marty, you're turning into a weed when you're older, or turning into a bit of a dickhead. Just don't do any of that stuff, and then you'll be fine. This is the consequence of your actions, and then you don't have to do anything else. You just have to show them what's going down, and then they will enact a new future.
Right.
Yeah.
See, no, but this is the
Like,
thing.
sorry, just to finish this off, like in A Christmas Carol, when he's like,
Right.
Scrooge, this is your future if you keep going the way it is. And so he goes back to his present and he's all happy now. So thus creating a new future where he dies as a happy man. You know what I'm saying?
Should be Doc of Christmas Past.
Doc of Christmas Future, yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, so this whole excursion to the future is Doc's idea to change something so that an outcome doesn't happen, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
stopping that Marty's kid from getting arrested. Why does he's like he acts like you can't affect the timeline, and yet he's somehow able to pick and choose things that you can go and deal with.
Yeah.
It's like he keeps mentioning that there's something going to happen to Marty in his future, but he won't tell Marty about it. And with the whole thing in the first film about him dying, and he's like Marty's like, "I've got to tell you something." He's like, "No, don't tell me." How is that any different from, what's going to happen to Marty's kid? Like, why is that something that he has to change?
Also,
No respect.
The actual what happened wasn't that big of a deal. 2 of his kids were in jail, and also Marty. The problem is that Marty can't take being called a chicken. So just cut that shit out, man.
Exactly,
Just cut it
exactly.
out and you'll be fine. Like that literally ruined your life. Stop.
That's basically my hugest beef. Is that it's like Marty, get over your shit.
Literally.
I've got to
Come
think
on.
that there must have been some sort of greater complication that comes out of their kids being in prison. Because obviously that's
It's
not a big
that
deal.
Big. Like, just serve
really.
some time. You did the crime, man.
Yeah, but I'm assuming maybe further on in the future, because they go to prison, they turn into crime lords and kill everyone or something.
I guess so. Yeah. If a lot of that, especially when you go to their home and you see their whole home life, and like you see Marty getting fired and stuff, when you're in that part of the film, it feels like that's all integral to the plot. Actually, that's all decoration.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Jennifer sees her older self, that has no bearing on the rest of the film. The actual plot of the film is old Biff getting the almanac and then taking it to his younger self and showing it like, so the first like 20-30 minutes of the film is actually not that much of a big deal.
Just a stepping stone sort of thing.
Just a stepping stone.
It just adds to the weight of the issue, which is we need to stop this from happening.
Yeah.
Well, they create they create the plot of the film, sort of like they create the issue.
Yeah, if they hadn't have gone into the future and if Marty hadn't have bought the almanac, then old Biff wouldn't have seen the almanac.
The dark timeline
The actual,
never would exist.
Exactly.
The actual issue is that they're there in the first place.
Exactly.
Because old Biff saw the time machine and was like, "Oh, hey, I know how to work this completely for some reason.
Yeah.
I have no knowledge of this, but I'm going to go back to the past and drop this almanac off and then come back to the future because I'm clever and know how to work a time machine." That's the issue.
Shit.
That's the entire issue of the film.
That's very, very true. It happened about 3 times in this film. Next thing, when he's like, "Guys, look at that," when he's trying to run away from people. And so someone gets fucking distracted by someone saying literally like "made you look," and therefore Marty can run away. Several times the bus would have ended. It would have fucking stopped because Marty would have got punched in the face. Plot's over. You fucked your mission. It's all like now the space and time continuum is fucked because you didn't succeed at running away from someone. I don't like how it's so very convenient for Marty to finish his mission.
One of the most annoying things just generally, Marty trying to get that almanac just enraged me beyond belief.
Just grab it, literally. Just grab it and hover away. Oh my God.
But so he gets into the back of Griff's car. Is it Griff?
No, it's Biff.
No,
Biff,
we're back in the past.
He gets in the back of Biff's car and he's lying on the back seat and he's like trying to get the almanac from like the front seat while Biff is driving, and like Biff just doesn't notice that he's in the back of the car. You would notice.
Yeah, you would notice, especially because beforehand, Marty is creeping around the square like so obviously.
Yeah.
If you want to not be noticed, maybe walk like a normal human being and don't crouch behind like literally. It felt like a kid's
He
cartoon.
barely gave him like a meter.
It felt like Pink Panther. It was just so silly.
But if he had like trumpets for shoes or something, literally.
But also, I couldn't believe that Biff is that dense. Like, he seems pretty stupid.
Oh, yeah, actually. I mean, of all people, maybe Biff.
Yeah.
But also, the principal was completely ignorant of Marty being in his own office. Like, it was all very convenient that no one...
He was literally... Marty was underneath his desk and he didn't notice.
Come on.
But the thing is, when Marty's in the car, the way that Biff realizes he's in the car eventually is by looking in the rearview mirror. Are you telling me that he literally didn't look in the rearview mirror for like the entire journey up until that point?
He doesn't need to see him behind him, just in front.
I mean, you don't drive.
No, I don't.
I'm just gonna say.
I'm talking from the point of view of Biff. He doesn't care what's behind him. What if there's more poop?
What if there's more poop?
I mean,
you'd be scared.
Yeah.
You'd be scarred.
He's looking out for the poop in front. He's not looking behind him.
Always look in front.
Can you say
Eyes
poop
ahead.
again?
Poop.
One of the things that pissed me off so much towards the end of the film is when Marty's just there, like on this road, and it's raining, and Doc's just been zapped away by lightning. It's like, for fuck's sake. Then suddenly this Western Union guy comes. Now, that situation is kind of bullshit and all very convenient anyway. Secondly, he gets the letter, opens the letter, and it's fucking chucking it down.
It's literally
It is.
more rain than there has ever been.
Like the guy's face is instantly dripping with rain, which does not happen in
And he
real
makes
life.
no effort whatsoever to cover the piece of paper.
Go in the car and read the letter. I just because the ink is running on the letter and everything. It's like, dude, you can't read the letter anymore. It's bollocks. Like, just that's so dumb. Go in the car.
I actually quite liked that whole element of like, there's been a note literally been waiting for 70 years immediately up to that point. I can kind of get behind that. That's fine.
That is cool. I feel like we need to go back a bit and just talk about Biff in that darkest timeline. Because he is 100% Donald Trump.
Oh,
Was that-
when you mentioned this,
Right?
I was like,
I knew
oh
this,
shit.
like, I've been watching Back to the Future since I was like, I don't know how old. My mum was obsessed with it. And so then I was like, he's like exactly like Donald Trump, like with the big Trump Tower and his like his Biff hotel and all this shit. And he has
Yeah.
the same ratchet
the
toupee.
gross hair, yeah.
Yeah, and he's also an arsehole.
damn.
I was like, did Steven Spielberg make that on purpose? Or is
You
this
know.
just, are we
I mean,
in?
Donald Trump existed.
I feel
during
like
this time.
we're in the darkest timeline right now.
Shit.
Whoa.
I feel like we're in it.
Okay, so here's a hypothetical. Here's a question. What is the thing that we need to go back and change?
What made him rich?
His dad.
Kill his dad.
Would you kill baby Trump?
Have you seen this? There's this conspiracy theory that Donald Trump is actually from like the past. There's this book written, and
If you look at his policies, it's definitely from the past.
I mean,
Hey!
well,
Look
yeah.
at his face.
But no, seriously. There's just Google it. There's this like whole thing, and it's like book written in like literally the 1800s, and it talks about Baron Trump and all of these other people that have the exact same name, and it's basically the idea is that the whole Trump family have time traveled.
But that's basically Back to the Future, like, right?
I think we are in the darkest timeline.
This is the darkest timeline. Something went wrong.
What's good about this is that I'm having an all right time in the darkest timeline.
I guess because we're not in America, it doesn't directly affect us.
Good point.
maybe like the closest to the point of where the issue has arose, the most chaos comes from. You know, that's like
there's a sentence in there. Yeah.
that's ground zero
Right.
for time travel chaos.
I think we could edit in post, like restructure.
Oh, we don't
the
need to edit
sentence.
that. That makes sense.
That made total
That's fine.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I most of my beef again is like the whole him getting triggered by chicken and how that much it didn't get addressed because Jennifer says like, "Oh, it's fucking annoying how you get triggered by chicken," or maybe his mum says it. Or
Yeah,
something like
right.
that.
That's another fucking very convenient conversation for them to be having. Like the same way that it's like Jennifer's like, "Oh, you missed me for a week." It's mum when he's in the house. His mum is literally like, "Oh, let's start talking about that time that Marty made that decision 30 years ago that caused all of this issue."
Yeah.
Like, why are you
Yeah.
talking about that? It literally has nothing to do with what you're talking about right now.
But
unless
we're
you just
seeing it
pull that
because
out.
it's part of the film.
Yeah.
Though I feel like an old mum would do that.
What,
Like,
just
remember that
never let
one
it go?
mistake you made, you dumb bitch? You see how broke you are now? You piece of shit. I feel like an old
Wow.
mum would do that. No? Just,
don't know.
Just me.
Don't know.
I mean, you're really
Are you
dragging your
projecting
mum
right
there
now?
or something.
No, my mum wouldn't do that. I did nothing
Okay,
wrong.
right. Whose mum are you?
Maybe it's me in the future. Who knows?
Okay.
Are you scared now, John?
Don't fuck
I
up.
feel for our future children.
Well, there shouldn't be
You
disappointments.
dumb idiot.
Stupid hoe. No, that's too much. I have a problem with old Biff because him going back and giving himself that sports almanac did nothing for the old Biff that currently exists.
No, that was a very generous thing for him to
Like-
do. Literally, he's just like, I'm going to sort out old me and not. I mean,
No, wait,
but
no.
would he suddenly.
But he doesn't get to experience any of that. He just still dies an old man in that dark in that timeline.
No, because he doesn't go back to that timeline.
Yeah, he does.
But it would be affected. Would it not?
He delivers the sports almanac and then
Yeah.
comes back.
Does he come back?
He does come back.
Yeah, he comes back because he has to return the car.
Exactly. So he's
Hold on a
back,
second.
and he
yeah.
left his stuff
does
in
return
the
the
car,
car. Yeah,
or
you're
whatever, and
right.
that's how they find out.
So surely everything would be instantly changed.
Yeah, you would have thought.
that's what
Yeah,
you think.
So as soon as old Biff returns,
You'd think
the whole landscape would have changed.
It is incredible that these films have like managed to be okay, even though time travel causes so many issues.
But maybe it's not any different because they fixed it.
I hate this.
No.
I really don't like this.
They fixed it, so maybe nothing changed because they did put it back right.
Have you got other beefs?
I haven't got any more beefs, but I've got some bits and bobs.
Okay, well, I've got some questions.
Is this part of bits and bobs?
Oh, well, I mean, it's a question.
So
It's
let's go
not
into
really a
bits.
beef.
Yeah, but we ask questions in bits and bobs.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe we'll do bits and bobs.
Let's go into bits and bobs.
That just took a long time to get nowhere.
So at the start, fuck. In the first sort of 10 minutes of the film,
Thank you.
Doc explains that from the future, because he rips off his skin, doesn't he?
It's
no
not
context.
Perfectly,
ripping skin off.
perfectly normal. Remember that bit where Doc rips off his skin?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, Marty, I got new skin and a new colon."
Right.
He got new stuff replaced.
Yeah.
In the future, what would you get replaced?
I'm only allowed one thing.
Well, he has two, so skin and colon. So you can replace two things.
Oh, but he looks exactly the same afterwards.
Well, I mean, he's just like freshening up.
But
You
I
could
would
do
look
that
the
if you
same.
want.
But I would look the same.
I mean, you could do whatever you want, I guess.
Oh, okay, cool. I think I'd probably get my appendix removed because I think that's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Like my dad had to pull off the side of a road on the motorway because his appendix.
Shit.
And he drove himself to hospital, and they were like, yeah, half an hour more, you would have been gone.
That's a good story.
Yeah. So I would like that time bomb to be removed.
Okay.
And then, I mean, my dad listens to the show. Maybe there's a different version of that story that he would present. I don't know how accurate that is, but I'm quite sure that it was spurred by curry. Anyway, and the other thing would I'd get like a sick voice box put in, so that I could just reach the maddest notes, and I could sing like my favorite singer or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the typical bloke thing of like enlarging your penis and something. I'm fine. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm doing fine.
You're doing fine in the penis department.
Yeah, I'm doing fine in the penis department.
Cool.
I'm cool. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm cool. What about you? And specifically penis, I'm talking.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm happy.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Deanna?
I mean,
I don't want one.
Oh,
I think he was talking about my penis.
feedback on Jordan's penis.
Oh no, it's good.
Okay, cool. Yes. Cool. Okay. So what would you change, Jordan?
I would replace my liver. Just get a new one. Restart. Probably done some damage to that now. So like,
right.
just refresh that.
Would you keep all your same habits though?
Yeah. No, yeah. It's just giving myself like a little bit more time.
Okay. All right.
And what else? You'd think if it was my question, I'd have answers for it myself already, but that's not the case.
In which case, let's go to Deanna then.
I was also gonna say liver because I've definitely destroyed it, and I know I don't have long left. I'm joking.
Whoa.
Got dark. Cosmetically, I don't really care about that so much.
Yeah.
Like I'd be fine. Maybe I'd get like my hair cut or something.
You're just.
I mean, that's very much something you can just do. You don't need to go to the future to do that.
Okay. Maybe like. No, I've got nothing.
Yeah.
Haircuts and new
We're
livers.
just very content with ourselves.
I was wondering whether I'd give myself hair, but
I was wondering that too.
I'm really into being bald.
I think it suits you.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of us in second year of uni.
Oh, God, it's bad,
And
isn't
you
it?
have hair, and I was like, who is this person?
I saw myself with not much hair, but not enough hair to be like, that guy has hair. Very much an in-between phase. And it's like, that guy really looks like he's 42. Whereas now it's like, oh, okay, the guy's got no hair. He might be 42. But, it works.
It's just a style.
Every time I see an older man that is losing his hair and has that, like, the classic horseshoe type hair thing. I am just constantly think about you and the fact that they are just idiots. Like, just shave it off.
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely get rid of it.
Just shave it off.
Although I did see a bald guy on the tube, and I was like, his head does not look as good as my head. I've got a really good.
It's a really well proportioned head.
I'm quite happy. One thing I'm scared of, so I quite would like to lose a bit more body fat, and I'm worried that with my face
You're gonna
getting
lose
trimmer,
some head fat.
yeah, I might lose some head fat, and my face might become less proportioned. So I'm wondering if I can maintain my face, proportions, whilst reducing body fat in the rest of my body.
That's what Botox is for, right?
Shit. Well, maybe that's what I do.
Just fill yourself up with silicone.
Wow.
Perfect. Job's a good one. All right. I've got some other bits and bobs. Well, I didn't have one in the first place, so I've got bits and bobs.
Okay. I've got another,
My God.
thing.
Go, yeah, fine.
So you remember, because me and Deanna watched it together, there was right at the end of the film, and this is at the end of the film, where it gets zapped by lightning.
Yeah.
It's just...
Is this fine? Okay, I can deal.
Okay.
Within 1 minute, it's okay.
When the DeLorean gets zapped by lightning, there's two figures. I mean, they look like nines to me, but I think they were the other way around.
They look like nines
They
to
were
me as
reverse
well.
nines.
Right. What's that about? That's never happened in any of the other future traveling things. What do we think?
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay.
Thank you. I have absolutely no idea, but it did look significant.
I see. At first, I thought because he went 100 years back into the past, didn't he? Because it was it was 1985, and he went back to 1885.
No, it was 1955 that he went to. They started in 1955 because he's going in the past from 1955.
Oh, right, yeah, because then he goes and finds Doc of 1955.
Right.
Then Marty goes and finds Doc of 1955. So it's not even not even possibly 99 years.
Yes. I don't know what it is. Self-adjusting clothes are quite cool. I think it'd be good if you didn't know. I've heard many women struggle to buy pairs of jeans, so they could go into a shop and put on a pair of loose jeans and tighten them according to however they would like them. Same with me and shirts. It's I know that there is a particular shop that I'm not going to plug, but there is a particular shop. I know exactly that their large suits me and that the size 34 suits me just fine for waist, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in other shops, a large is not the same. It would be really nice if it was you have a design of a shirt and you put the shirt on and then you just go zip, and it goes to your perfect fit.
Yeah, that's some real future shit.
That's really cool. And it's almost to the point where I'm surprised that we don't have that now. Because if you can do it in a film and all of the not animatronics, but the electrics and stuff that wasn't CGI. By the way, the stuff that was CGI was quite impressive for the time, actually.
Yeah, for the time.
I'm not a huge on for the time, but I was you know what? That kind of holds up in a way.
Yeah, for the time.
Okay, you got really high standards, haven't you?
Yeah, it holds up for the time.
It holds up, yeah.
For the time. I think just overall, incredibly disappointing to watch it being 2015 and just so far off the mark.
Yeah.
They had telephone booths.
Yeah, they had telephone booths, but they also had hoverboards and self-tying shoes. Why do we not have
I
those?
saw no smartphones. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing even remotely verging on a smartphone.
I mean, it was the past. So they didn't know that smartphones existed then. So that's...
I mean,
But
they took a punt and they were wrong.
Not bad. So what out of that film would you exchange for smartphones?
Flying cars, man.
Yeah.
That flying highway was lit.
I don't really want flying cars. I just want teleporting. That's what I'm about.
I mean, that's not what they
They
had.
didn't
They didn't
have
that.
teleporting.
No. I'm not even talking about the film now. I'm just
Okay.
talking about
Okay,
things that I
He's
want.
talking about... This is Jordan's time, I guess.
Yeah. Any bits that you want to bring up, Dee, that aren't beefs? Okay, let's move on.
No, there was one thing, in their new house.
Yeah.
Their future house
Yeah.
where they're living, and they have that weird projector screen of outdoors.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Why? Just why? If
It had static at the bottom of it as well.
It
It was like a
did, yeah.
VHS.
But they made it clear that they said that it was an old broken one.
Oh right.
But I don't know why the jump from why is a futuristic TV a projector screen and not a big TV?
and
Yeah.
it's they have a big wall. I'm pretty sure there wasn't anything behind it, right? Or was there a window?
It was a window.
Oh, right, there was a
Yeah,
window.
it
It
was
was a very
projecting over the
depressing
window or
window.
something,
Right,
yeah.
that's fair.
You could just see bricks or the next door neighbor's house.
And
looking
then
shitty.
young Biff. Well, no, not young Biff.
Young
what am I talking
Marty.
about? Marty
Young
Jr.
Biff sounds like a SoundCloud rapper.
Young Biff on the mic. No, young Marty, Junior Marty, whatever. The kid
Lil Marty.
had Lil Marty.
Young
had
Biff and
a
Lil Marty on the mic. Hottest mixtape of 2K19.
yeah, he had that big TV and was watching 16 different things at once.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God, so
is that,
stressful.
Is that the future?
Yeah, that made me hurt.
Like,
Oh.
no, the future is not television.
I love that he
actually.
got fired and it all and like just
He had fax
they used fax
machines.
machine, not one, but two fax machines.
No. It was more than 2. It was 3
really?
It
fax
was like at
machines.
least 8, I would say.
Okay.
There was one next to the front door.
Yep.
There was one in the lounge and one in the airing cupboard where Jennifer was hiding.
Yep.
Why?
Why aren't you just like you're putting the iron away?
I swear they said multiple times, "Oh, where's Mum?" Right?
Yeah.
And yet, when young Marty comes home,
He's
he
like,
says,
yeah.
"Hi,
Hi, Mum."
Mum."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when everyone's asking where's Mum, he never piped up saying, "Oh, she's round the corner."
Young Marty seemed like a doofus.
He was very greasy.
He was very greasy and looked like he was either drunk or on heroin.
Yeah.
Just not with it.
I feel like this turned into a bit of a beef again, but like Star Trek, right?
Right.
Made in the made in the 1960s or something. They got the future so like hardcore down. Like they had the
Yeah.
smartphones, they had the communication, they had Bluetooth, they had all this shit. And then Back to the Future, yes, kids dress as circuit boards and they have hoverboards and you can fly your car, but you have a telephone booth and an 80s diner and everyone's a biker.
For all we know, like
Yeah, their future- whoever
maybe
they-
in 2025, maybe that's what's going to happen. I mean, it's not, but maybe that's what's going to happen.
No.
They just got one of the digits wrong on the years.
No,
2015.
I just think Steven Spielberg has no clue about any sort of technological advancement and really tried his best,
Yeah.
but didn't.
Or
do
whoever
very
they
well.
had as their future consultants. They needed to readdress.
Who would you
should've-
call? Who would you call to give you insights about the future? Would you call a technologist? Or
Oh
would
no,
you
it's
call
definitely going to be Elon Musk.
Oh God.
that would make sense.
I mean, he seems to have it pretty clued in for the future.
Yep.
Like, yeah. Do we want to move on to some bees and brings?
Bees and brings.
Okay, can I go first?
You know what, Jordan? You can
I've got a very specific one.
go on.
So when Doc is driving, and he is like they're driving back to Marty's new house, future house, and he's sort of like he stops all of a sudden. He's like, "I had a feeling there's a taxi behind me that was following us," because it's actually Biff following them in a taxi.
Right.
I would go back and I would be Doc and maybe just pay attention to my
Rearview mirror.
intuition,
Yeah,
you know,
instincts.
my gut, yeah, because he sort of like literally if he'd have looked out for a tail a little bit more, then he could have stopped the whole Biff going into the future, stopped the whole bad timeline, literally like
Darkest
in that
timeline.
one moment.
Yeah.
If he'd have made a decision to be a little bit more cautious, then it would have been fine.
I agree, and I have something even more obvious to stop Biff from going into the darkest timeline.
Okay,
Why didn't Marky?
Marky Mark.
Why didn't Marty close the fucking car and lock the door when he left the car? Because he just left it open in a scary
Acting
neighborhood.
like he knows that this neighborhood is safe. You
Well,
don't know that.
You don't know this.
2015.
Yeah, you can't be doing this. And
Anything could happen.
He left it wide open for old Biff to just go straight in and steal the.
He literally
DeLorean.
leave the door open, doesn't he?
Yeah. Not
I
even,
mean,
not even leave the car
You are
unlocked.
asking for it to be stolen.
To some extent, yeah, I guess so. Now, Deanna, who would you be?
I think I'd be Jennifer, and I'd put up more of a fight from like being roofied by the doc.
Yeah, but she didn't know this is the whole point.
Well, I would just be like,
She's still asleep by the end of the film. She gets dropped off, doesn't she?
okay, I'd be Steven Spielberg and not do that.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, like,
Wow,
why
that's some
do you need
meta
to
shit.
drug the only female in this film?
Yeah.
Like, stop.
She didn't need to be there.
She didn't need to
And
be drugged. She didn't need to be left in an alleyway.
She was very poorly treated.
She was. And she was left on a porch when they got back.
Yeah, it's a little bit disgusting.
Put her inside the
so
house.
bad. It's
What is
so
your problem?
I would be Marty and just stop getting triggered by chicken.
Yep.
Like, fucking grow up, man. Like, grow up. You're 17 years old, but you've been through some shit because you've been time traveling and stuff. Like, you don't need to be.
Who is that
knows.
offended by being called a chicken?
Literally, it's like
It's-
I was thinking of like my equivalent in my life is being called gay boy when I was in primary school, and it didn't even affect me that bad. Like it was, come on, like I'm not going to get so enraged That like, check your ego, mate. Check your ego. It's not that big a deal.
Okay, then brings.
Tony Hawk.
Oh, fucking
And
yes.
Tony Hawk
Just
fucking.
for no reason other than to just skate about.
That's exactly what I wanted to on the hoverboards because I want to see what the tricks would be like on hoverboards.
Yeah. I want to know more about these hoverboards.
Yeah. Would skateboarding be as cool without the sound of the skateboard themselves? You know?
Grinding on rails
That's
probably
exactly
wouldn't be
what I
the
was
same, would it?
thinking.
It wouldn't really work. It's just hovering
Yeah,
above things.
It would just be there's that whole sound. Oh, by the way, when Marty is running away, hovering away from Biff when they're going down the tunnel, we had previously seen times where Marty hovers on a wall. Has he not?
Yeah, he has.
Why can't Marty just hover on the ceiling to get away from Biff?
Well,
Because he strapped his foot into the hoverboard.
He did.
Yeah.
Technically,
Nah,
gravity doesn't exist.
I think there is an element of gravity involved because when he's going against walls, it seems like there's momentum pushing him still. Like he's like off of a car or sideways on a car, and there's like a lot of speed involved.
No, but surely if he's hovering, he doesn't have to be on a surface to get momentum. Like he's still pedaling his foot. He's like putting his foot out to push him forward. So it doesn't matter if he's touching the ground.
I don't know how the board works.
This
I don't
is silly
think
bullshit.
anyone in the film knows how the board works, and that's why we have this issue.
Okay, D, who would you bring?
Can I go next?
Okay, yeah. I would bring Robocop, and he's going to kill Biff in the
Okay.
future because Robocop belongs in that dark timeline.
I haven't seen RoboCop, so
Okay, well, Robocop basically is, for those of you that don't know, Robocop was a policeman who got like gunned down proper badly in this one situation, and then they were like, we will rebuild him, and they made him again, but he was made to be mostly robot but controlled by like a human brain. Like there's barely any elements of him that is human, and he's like super just and like just he's got
he has the
really
morality-
powerful guns and blows things up.
so he has the morality of a human, but the artillery of a robot.
Yes. And there's like elements of like the humanity in him fighting against the rigidness of the computer sort of thing. But it's mainly just that like the Robocop fits in that gritty future kind of thing where there's like bikers and shit and it's all nasty and looks horrible.
Darkest timeline.
He belongs in that dark timeline. So
Okay.
yeah, he could go and sort out Biff. It would be great. I can imagine like a final like showdown scene in like Biff's penthouse area in his little casino.
I feel like I'd bring in Trump.
Oh,
Trump versus Biff.
Yes.
What the fuck would happen? I feel like the world would implode.
Biff would get shown.
Who
up,
gets
I think.
absorbed?
Who eats the other person?
One will consume the other for the evil.
I think Trump wins.
Do you think so?
I
Yeah.
think Trump's more evil than Biff.
I think Trump is more.
I don't know, because
Trump
Biff in
and
this
Biff
timeline
is-
is really established. Is Trump a person? in
Biff
this
is just
timeline?
a dick, but he's not smart. Trump is both a dick and smart.
Which is what makes him
is
dangerous.
he smart?
like, yeah, he's maniacal smart. Like,
Yeah.
He knows what he's
Tyrannical.
doing. Yeah. He's not an idiot.
We hate him.
Yeah, he's ingenious. Is what Trump is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a truly dark timeline.
pretty scary.
We'd need 2 Robocops.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question for everyone: would you stay indoors to watch Back to the Future Part 2?
I would.
Yes.
Nope.
No.
No.
What the hell?
So
No.
like, wait, would you do you think you should watch it still considering you see 1, like, or are you happy like you just watch 1 and then leave 2 out?
All right. As a standalone film, it's fucking annoying. It pissed me off, and it's like there was too many elements of the film where I was like, really, you guys, and it wasn't fun enough. Like the fun bits are fun, but like then that doesn't compensate for the bullshit. But as a series, it's like I'm on this journey now, and they at the end of the first film, you're kind of curious as to what happens. But when you find out that actually what's going on with the kids is like that's how they got you from one film to the next, is talking
Right.
about the kids.
Yeah.
That thing lasts for like 5 seconds, and it's
yeah.
actually a whole another film. So
It's almost like they had a different idea and then sort of
Like,
canned it and went for something else.
exactly.
Well, no, I feel like they kind of had to use that, so you didn't expect the whole Biff thing to happen.
True. Yeah.
Because Biff is like such a loser in their current timeline.
Yeah. You don't see that coming.
Like Biff was defeated. What if Biff wasn't defeated?
It
That's
was
the
just
whole
annoying
part
how
two.
much they repeated stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, I
Yeah.
see what you're doing here, because you know that when he was in the arcade and he was doing, I used to play this game when I was a kid, bang bang bang, he's shooting in that arcade game. Well, look, we're in the Wild West now for part 3. We're gonna have another one of those throwbacks and many other things that reference to the first 2 films, and it's all like, it's not doing enough for me. It's
Yeah.
just referencing the
You know-
awesomeness of the first one, which I don't think was that good anyway.
People drag like Infinity War and Endgame for being films that don't make sense if you haven't watched the previous films. But how is this any different? Like, it doesn't work as a standalone film. If you just came in and watched Back to the Future 2, you'd miss so many of what they're trying to do.
But also, they do recap quite a bit, like at the end
Yeah,
of the films.
But for example, like the whole the scene between Griff and the fact that that's all like sort of happening again in the future, but you wouldn't know that's what they're trying to do, that they were like replicating that but in the future.
Well, yeah, of course you wouldn't know that because you haven't seen the first one, so it just comes in as new information. The part where it's troubling is when there's all the references to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
I think, I don't know, like I obviously watched them as a child and they weren't out. They weren't coming out when I was a kid because I'm not that old. But like they kind of feel reminiscent of like older Star Trek films are similar in that way. Like if you didn't see all of the films, you kind of, or the series, you didn't know what the fuck was going on, but they were still really popular. And like Back to the Future has been super iconic. Like,
how's it though?
It's like a cult film. Like people are so obsessed with it. Like it's been very, very important to like sci-fi and nerd culture.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that uses that as a basis.
Yeah,
like, and references
so
it.
many films that quote Back to the Future.
Why?
Because it's good. It's good for like it's very good sci-fi. It's not completely sensical because no one knows the future or how time
This is
machines
fucking
actually
annoying
work.
because it's sci-fi, science
Yeah.
fiction, so therefore it should be right.
They could have done it better, definitely.
Okay, to conclude then,
Don't stay indoors.
from Kieran, but do stay indoors from me and Dee.
Yeah.
Okay, next week we're going to be watching Back to the Future Part 3, which is going to be in the West. Deanna, thank you very much for joining us this week.
You are welcome.
Do you have anything to plug?
Everyone should watch RuPaul's Drag Race and support drag queens across the galaxy.
Great. Cool. Cosmic drag queens.
Cosmic drag queen.
Wonderful. So we will see you next week for Back to the Future Part 3 featuring cosmic drag queens. Okay? Yeah?
We'll be all doing the
No one's
episode
gonna
in drag.
No one's gonna
Great.
listen if you say that.
Wait. How? So should we all dress in drag? But like this is an audio format, so
It's just for us.
No one will
Okay,
know.
cool.
It's just for us.
Am I doing it? Am I doing it?
Bye.
Bye.